He was a man who at age 26 had it all. He had fame, the world knew of him, he had success, he had medals to prove it, he had money. He earned in millions every year, mainly from endorsements. Until the very early hours of Valentine's Day 2013, he had a beautiful woman who was his girlfriend. But on that fateful night when the world had still to wake up to the day of love, Oscar Pistorius is said to have gotten up and shot dead Reeva Steenkamp in cold blood. Prosecutors say they believe Pistorius put on his prosthetic legs, picked up his gun, and walked to the bathroom where Steenkamp had locked herself, apparently after a heated argument, and shot at her 4 times. Three of the bullets struck Steenkamp and she died within minutes, bringing to an end the fast-paced high adrenaline rush that was a way of life for Oscar Pistorius. Sports Bureau headlines today.
Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Siddharth Kocha. Now it's a story that has gripped the world since Valentine's Day. Oscar Pistorius and Reeva Steenkamp billed as South Africa's answer to David and Victoria Beckham. They had it all: money, fame, good looks and true love. But it all went horribly wrong. On the day the world celebrates the gift of love, Pistorius shot and killed his girlfriend. He claims it was an accident. The police have charged him with premeditated murder. But the good news for Pistorius is that he's finally been given bail, but not before his bail plea hearing turned into a John Grisham novel sort of mini trial.
Oscar Pistorius, South African double amputee and Olympic and Paralympic track star, was released on bail of R1 million before his trial for the murder of girlfriend Reeva Steenkamp. It took 4 days of courtroom drama to arrive on the decision.
Yes, we are relieved that the fact that Oscar got bail today.
Even as the Chief Metropolitan Magistrate read through a 2-hour-long statement, 26-year-old Pistorius stood in the dock, weeping and quivering, and he completely broke down when the bail plea was upheld. Magistrate Desmond Nair said Pistorius must pay R100,000 in cash, surrender his passport and firearms, not return to his home and reside at an undisclosed place agreed to by his defense attorney. As per the bail conditions, Oscar Pistorius will have to report to a police station in Pretoria between 7 a.m. and 1 p.m. every Monday and Friday. Pistorius has already spent more than a week at a Pretoria police station since his arrest on Valentine's Day, charged with the murder of 29-year-old Reeva Steenkamp. Oscar claimed he thought she was a burglar.
We are in mourning for the death of Reeva with her family.
For 4 days, the defense and prosecution had been trying to convince the South African courts on whether Oscar should be granted bail or not. The prosecution had argued that he had the money, means and motive to abscond abroad if he was given bail. The defense team had also argued that Pistorius was too famous to flee if released on bail. The prosecution's case was severely hampered when it was found that the Chief Detective Hilton Botha investigating the case was himself facing murder charges in a separate case. The court also criticized the testimony of Detective Botha, saying he had not followed up important leads and had changed his testimony. And when on Thursday it emerged that Detective Botha faces allegation of attempted murder, he was removed from the case. Amidst all this courtroom drama on Thursday, international sports gear giant Nike also announced that they were dropping their commercials that featured Oscar Pistorius. When bail was granted, Pistorius' family broke into cheers. His father, brother and sister had been attending court, sitting close behind him.
We know Oscar's version of what happened at that tragic night. And we know that that is the truth, and that will prevail in the coming court case.
Pistorius will now return to court only on 4th June, but the actual trials may still be months away, and it is only then that the truth of Reeva Steenkamp's death will finally be dealt with. Sports Bureau, headlines today.
So what makes Oscar Pistorius the phenomena that he is? How did a man with no legs make Time magazine's 100 most influential people's list? It all began at the starting blocks of the 200 meters finals at Athens 2004 Paralympics.
2004 Athens. Oscar Pistorius froze at the blocks. But that made what happened after it even more remarkable. Starting 1.8 seconds late, the South African teenager, still wearing braces, decimated the field, romping home to victory. And a star was born. For someone who was born with no fibula in both his legs and became a double amputee when he was just 11 months old, Pistorius seemed unaffected by disabilities. At Pretoria High School, Pistorius started out playing rugby before an injury saw him sidelined, needing surgery. During his rehab, he tried athletics and took to it like a fish to water, running on carbon fiber blades widely known as cheetah blades. The rest, as to say, is history. His Athens triumph marked him out as the fastest rising star in disability sport. But Pistorius was on a mission to prove that it's all in the mind, pushing boundaries, breaking records, and dreaming of going up against the best in the world. In 2007, he went up against 400 meters world champion Jeremy Wariner in Sheffield and publicly targeted making the Asian Games. But his dreams looked to have been shattered when IAAF banned the use of blades in able-bodied competition, saying they gave him an unfair advantage, a decision Pistorius criticized and appealed against.
Having had the opportunity to review the results of the study together with several world-renowned experts in biomechanics, I'm even more resolute in my belief that my prosthesis, the Cheetah Flex feet, do not give me an advantage. Should the IAAF elect to use this information to ban me from IAAF sanctioned events, I will appeal this decision at the highest levels.
The CAS ruled in his favor, but it came too late for him to make it to the Beijing Olympics. That saw him lose focus, only to be jolted awake by a speedboat crash in 2009. Alcohol bottles too were found in the port. But he rediscovered his focus and form after that. From then on, there was no stopping the Blade Runner. He qualified for the World Championships, where he became the first amputee to win a World Championship medal in the 4x400 meter relay, despite not being selected for the final. And then it was on to 2012, where he was signed on by numerous sponsors and became one of the faces of the Olympic Games. He made it all the way to the 400 meter semi-finals at the Olympics and was also asked to carry the South African flag at the closing ceremony. But with the tragedy, his career has been stopped dead in the tracks, and a medal at the Summer Olympics in Rio now seems not unreachable, but a dream that won't be fulfilled. Sports Bureau, headlines today.
The adrenaline rush, that is what made Oscar Pistorius tick. He took on life at maximum speed with minimum caution, be it on the racetrack, on the road, on water, or even in his private life. He was an adrenaline junkie to the core. No wonder he was in love with guns, a love that turned fatal.
On or off track, Oscar Pistorius seemed to live in the fast lane. The hottest women, a love for guns, millions in the bank, a McLaren supercar, adulation world over. The world was at his carbon fiber blades, and he in a breathless race to the finish. seeking thrills and an adrenaline rush like no other. No wonder he was in love with speed. Be it on the racetrack where he constantly tried to push boundaries, but also on the roads with his McLaren supercar, or on water. In 2008, Pistorius crashed his boat into a submerged pier on a river, broke 2 ribs at his jaw, and needed 172 stitches in his face. It just shows how Pistorius has a fierce need to take on the world at maximum speed and with minimum caution. He knew he was destined for a career in sports right from the start, though he embraced the world of athletics very late, only after he had to undergo surgery and rehab after an injury sustained while playing rugby. It was then that he switched to running. And in Athens 2004, a phenomenon was born. Even Pistorius' luxury home in a gated community that will forever be remembered for the horrific incident betrays his love for the good life. He also owns 6 thoroughbred racehorses and had even bought 2 African white tigers before selling them off to a zoo. Then there are the guns. Apart from a 9mm handgun with which he shot his girlfriend, he had applied for a license for 6 different firearms and often went to a shooting range near his home and bragged about his accuracy on Twitter. There are the high-profile endorsements from Oakley to Nike, who in fact had a print ad titled "I am the Bullet" in the chamber featuring Pistorius. Not only that, he was signed on by French fashion maverick Terry Mugler. In South Africa, he was their answer to David Beckham, voted by Heat magazine as the sexiest South African celebrity and appearing on fashion magazine covers. There are the tattoos too. Ironically, one says, "I do not run like a man running aimlessly." But does he like shooting aimlessly? For that is what he stands accused of. That even if he thought it was a burglar and not his girlfriend inside the bathroom, he fired 4 shots, not 1, not 2, but 4, which meant only one thing. He wanted to kill. Sports Bureau headlines today.
Now, he had the money, he had the looks, he had superstardom, he had superhuman abilities as well. And if that isn't reason for you to envy Oscar Pistorius, then let me add his way with women. Pistorius was a charmer, dating some of the hottest women, not just in South Africa but around the world. But it was with Reeva Steenkamp, a law graduate turned FHM cover girl who was fast becoming a hugely influential voice on violence against women in South Africa, that he found true love. But fate had other plans.
It was South Africa's answer to David and Victoria Beckham, an athlete whose fame knew no barriers, and his beautiful model girlfriend who'd been on the cover of FHM but was now increasingly becoming an influential voice on violence against women in South Africa. They were first spotted together at the South African Sports Awards and the media went into a tizzy. But that is when we got an insight into the complex world of Pistorius. For his ex-girlfriend lashed out. But on the other end, Pistorius and Steenkamp were going strong. In fact, in a last interview before death, Steenkamp had said that she respected and admired Pistorius, but was scared for their relationship because of all the false stories of her cheating on Pistorius in the media. Steenkamp had started modeling in her mid-teens, but after going to a convent school, she studied law. But just as she walked out of her bar exam, she got an offer from FHM. From there on, there was no looking back as Steenkamp became one of the most recognizable faces in South Africa, appearing on the covers of fashion magazines, plastered on billboards across the country. She even became the face of Avon Cosmetics.
She had the looks, the beauty, everything else that shouldn't have gone with the way she looked. She was if you looked at her, you would think, oh, she's your typical dumb blonde. But let me tell you, she was anything but. You never expected her to do the things that she did to change people's lives, standing up for something that she felt right.
After meeting Pistorius, Reeva had started trying to move away from the FHM stigma and had planned on using Tropica Island, a popular reality television show, as a platform to voice concerns on violence against women.
She was telling us that, people are really ignorant about what's going on, and she wants to make people aware, and she was very passionate about it. The next day, on Valentine's Day, she was going to talk to women about abuse and about...
She was going to go talk, I think, at Sandown High School, if I'm not mistaken, to the kids there.
Before Steenkamp, Pistorius had dated his high school sweetheart, Vicky Miles, on an on and off affair. In 2011, he started seeing marketing student and part-time model, Samantha Taylor. The stunning blonde also appeared as Pistorius' girlfriend on a local television show, shot in Seychelles. Around the same time, it was suggested that Pistorius was going out with leggy Russian model Anastasia Kozysova. Then there's a list that includes Jenny Atkins, Melissa Rom, and Chanel Duplessis, all young, attractive, and blonde. But it was with the 30-year-old that Pistorius claims he found true love. Sports Bureau headlines today.
It's not been the best of times for sporting heroes. The higher they reach, the harder they fall. And you look at what's happened since 2012 and you wonder, are we so short in heroes, so devoid of idols to look up to, that even the most fragile of cover stories turning a blind eye to their failings, ignoring facts that stare us in the face, and lapping up barely credible defenders.
Running from triumph to tragedy and exposing a dark side nobody knew about. Paralympian poster boy Oscar Pistorius made history when he became the first amputee to compete in the Olympics at London 2012. His incredible talent lit up the track, as advertisers and fans were seduced by his tale. But unfortunately, his private life resembled no such positivity, as he is now being tried for murdering his girlfriend. A private life which has always been littered with a taste for danger and a history of violence, finally bringing about his downfall.
This is the more important one, I think, a more relevant one. He also had a history of extreme jealousy with previous girlfriends. He was a very, or is a very protective, overprotective character.
But the story that shook the world this year was that of Lance Armstrong. The 7-time Tour de France winner was a beacon of hope for cancer sufferers. Not only beating the awful disease but rewriting cycle's record books. What Armstrong meant to sport was beyond imagination, a living legend in the fullest sense of the term. So when the American admitted in January this year that he was a drug cheat, it came a betrayal of gigantic proportions. Clearly, Armstrong's extraordinary determination and courage has not been matched by character and principle. His lack of integrity wounding fans across the world.
I don't know that I have a great answer. I will start my answer by saying that this is too late. It's too late for probably most people. I view this situation as one big lie.
Another shocking case that came to limelight was that of Jovan Belcher in December last year. The linebacker for American football team Kansas City Chiefs shot dead his girlfriend and mother of his 3-month-old child, the 22-year-old Cassandra Perkins, after a domestic dispute. He later killed himself in front of coaches and teammates the same day. Clearly, these athletes were special, different, but idols? Despite the lack of heroes, we need to be careful about putting athletes on a pedestal in the future. Sports Bureau, headlines today.
Oscar Pistorius wasn't an ordinary hero. He might have been an ordinary human being with failings such as ours, but he still had something special, a quality that marked him out as one of the chosen ones. And if he's guilty or not, well, who are we to make that judgment? Let the courts decide. Thanks a lot for tuning in and hope you enjoyed the show.